Okay, who wants to air layer a lychee tree? Hey everybody, welcome Pepe's Plants. Really appreciate you coming out to my channel. Hey, if you like what you see here on the channel today, do me a favor, help me out, give me a thumbs up, and subscribe. Don't forget, hit that little bell next to the subscribe button so you can have all the updates on all the upcoming videos. Today, I'm going to show you the tools first, and then we're going to go into an actual air layer demonstration. So stick around. So you've got a lot of choices when you come to do an air layer. Okay, you can use one of these gadgets that are on the market. There's lots of different ones. This is a pretty cool looking one right here, but we're not going to talk about these today. I just want to show you that there are lots of tools out there for you to do air layering, but I don't think that they're any better necessarily than the traditional way that I'm going to show you right now. Okay, here's another one that's also, again, I'm not knocking these products. They're very nice products. They're very good products. I just don't think that everybody should think that this is the only or the best way. Okay, this is not the best way. Honestly, I've tried both of these methods. I haven't done a review on a video or anything because it's very clumsy. I mean, I worked with this. It was clumsy. I didn't really find it to be any faster or better than traditional air layer. The nice thing about these cups here is that they separate. They separate and then they snap together. I've used them a couple times. They're okay, but they do crack and wear out, and then you got to buy more. So to me, it just seems to make more sense, more cost effective to just use this and this. Okay, so here's the tools that you need in order to do an air layer. Okay, you're gonna need some quality sphagnum moss. Okay, this is a good quality. This is called Better Grow Premium Grade Orchid Moss, and it works really well. Okay, that's the one that I tend to use a lot. There's also New Zealand sphagnum moss, which is also supposed to be phenomenal. I've had not actually gotten any of that, but maybe we'll try that sometime, see if there's anything special about it. Aluminum foil, regular aluminum foil. Try to get the little more heavy duty one, not the real flimsy one. Any kind of plastic material, actually. I like to use the seal wrap, which is what you're going to see in the video. It's really good and sticky, and it holds on, it clings real well. Alright, you're going to need a knife. It's very important you have a nice sharp knife. Does not have to be a grafting knife, but it has to be a nice sharp knife. Very important. Okay, it's a good idea to have alcohol and have the alcohol handy so that you can disinfect all of the tools that you're going to use prior to cutting into the wood. The other thing you're going to probably want to get is a little pair of pliers. It can come in handy, and I'll show you that in the video why we use this. You're going to need a bucket. Very important you have a nice clean bucket, and that way you can soak your sphagnum moss, maybe like a nice handful if you're going to do just one tree, or maybe a bucket full if you're going to do a bunch of trees. All right. When you're working with sphagnum moss, it's a good idea to get yourself some latex gloves because there's a possibility that if you have some cuts, some wounds in your hands, you could end up with a little bit of and I can't remember if it's a bacteria or if it's a fungal infection, but just a little warning, be careful. That's something that I was told, actually about a year ago. I had no idea, and I always did it without wearing any gloves, but now I'll wear the gloves. The other thing you're going to need is you're going to need some hormone for your branch. In most cases, majority of the trees, you're going to need to use the hormone. There are some trees that you don't actually use hormone. For example, if you're doing a breadfruit tree, they actually work better without the hormone, and also instead of using sphagnum, there's a tendency to use just soil or cocoa fiber. So I haven't done a breadfruit tree, but I think I have a friend who has one, and we're going to give that one a shot. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that I recall being told not to use any hormone. Now when you're using the hormone, it's a good idea to have a small cup with some fresh water, clean water, and a little brush. Okay, and I'll demonstrate how that's done on the actual air layer when you see it coming up. So once again, thanks for tuning in, and here we go. We're going to show you how we air layer a lychee tree. All right, so I'm using a grafting knife. Always remember, now you don't have to use a grafting knife. You can use any nice, sharp, clean knife. And it's important that you clean the knife before you use it, disinfect it with alcohol, and I have already done that. Started here by going around and cutting a ring all around the tree. Same thing here on the bottom. Cut another ring, cutting through the bark, okay? Once you've done that, you want to come down to the center, don't cut yourself, and then slide down as straight as you can to remove this outer bark. You can see how it's separating nicely here. So you want to get that outer bark off. And you'll keep working this until you've removed the bark. Now lots of times you could just take your nail now that you've done this, and you can just remove that bark. Okay, make sure it's all off. You don't want to leave any of it on. And then you want to take your tool, which in this case is the grafting knife, and you want to scrape all around here. You want to completely remove the exterior here, all of that, scrape all that wood there. Very important. Now, if you want to save time and you don't want to do that, let me show you something else. We're going to take this girdle that we've created, we've girdled the branch, and we're going to go around with a pair of pliers instead of scraping with the knife, okay? You can if you want, but it just takes a little longer. You want to make sure you separate the layer underneath the bark, which is the cambium. You want to get that cambium completely removed. Go all around like this with the pliers, and then you might want to go like this too. Just go up and down, scrape like this, all around. And as long as you've gone and removed it and it looks kind of like all rough, you've pretty much done a pretty good job. So go all around it, and I've already done that a little bit off camera. So I've scraped it, I've got it off, and now when I come back, I'm going to apply the sphagnum moss moist and the hormone. So we'll be showing you in just a minute how that works. All right, so our branch is ready to go. Now let me just, before I begin putting the hormone on here and also placing the sphagnum moss, let me just give you a couple of quick important points. You want to use a branch on the tree that is growing in a vertical position, okay? You don't want to use one that's growing horizontally. It should have a bit of a vertical growth to it. You don't want to really use the branches that are growing downwards. They don't seem to work as well, okay? They're going to do much better on the nice vertical branches. Lots of people do them on branches that go, you know, parallel to the tree and go down, and they'll work, but it tends to work better on vertical branches. And also keep in mind that you want to have a place that's sunny, okay? It's okay if the tree is out in full sun, that's fine. You want all of the leaves on the tree to work, you know, to provide energy for what's going to happen here. And what's going to happen is you're going to create roots right here on this girdle, and those roots then will wrap themselves around the sphagnum, and in about 2 months on average, maybe 3 months, depending on what time of year you do this. Right now it is the end of February. It's February 20, I think it's the 26th today, or 26th. So what's going to happen is this is actually going to send nutrients. It's going to send water up, but it's going to send sugars back down. And it does that through the phloem and the xylem. And if you want to know more about what the phloem and the xylem is, go to peppiesplants.com, because there I have a complete explanation of what those two organs in the plant actually do, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you that I have a little bit of water here, just plain water, okay? And the reason is that I'm going to wet the girdle to kind of keep it moist, but also to get the hormone to actually, you know, adhere and start working, okay? So I like to get this nice and moist, all right? All right, next step now is going to be to apply the hormone. I use Hormone 3, okay? I could use Hormone 2, I could use Hormone 1. I've just used Hormone 3. It seems to work fine. You don't want to get this in your face, in your eyes. You don't want to get it all over your hands. This stuff will burn. It'll give you an uncomfortable feeling. You can just rinse it off and you'll be fine. But you don't want to get this stuff on you. Now, I'm going to take from the corner and just take a little bit. Just grab a little bit here. Then I'm going to just rub some off here. And now it's become kind of like a little bit of a paste. And I'll go ahead and I'll apply my hormone. Now I want to especially be certain that I'm getting it up in this area, because this is where the roots are going to actually begin to form. Put a little bit more. Also, when you wet it, you kind of avoid the powder from getting in your eyes and in your face. So that's why I like to wet it too. So I'll go around and I'll apply this all over the girdled part, and when I come back now, I'll go ahead and I'll show you how I place the sphagnum. All right, so here we go. We've got the gloves on, because when you're handling sphagnum, it's recommended that you wear gloves. Okay, you could end up, if you have some cuts on your hand, you could get a little bit of an infection from some kind of I can't remember right now if it's a fungus or a bacteria. I think it's a fungus. But in any event, this is a high quality sphagnum. It has very little sticks in it, almost nothing, and that's good, because you don't want to buy the cheap stuff that's got a lot of hard sticks and things, because it'll just puncture right through your wrapping material. Okay, now this is kind of like a saran wrap. It's real sticky. It's good stuff. I like to use it. Your sphagnum should be nice and moist, not soaking wet where water would be dripping, but you want it to be very wet, because the idea is that this girdle would normally just kill the tree if it wasn't protected and kept moist, because, you know, it's nothing but trouble here. It'll just dry out, and, you know, 9 out of 10 times it'll die, because you've removed the cambium layer and the bark and everything, so you can't get this to actually regrow and repair, so it won't do that. If you had just cut off a little piece, it would probably reheal itself and be okay. But when you've done this girdle, you do need to protect it. And now, as I explain on my website, peppysplants.com, the phloem and the xylem are critical in understanding what's happening here and why this will produce roots. Again, if I didn't already mention it, the roots are going to be produced at the upper area, up here, right around this area. So now we'll go ahead and we'll place this here, and we'll join it together like this. Make sure it wraps all the way around. Okay, so I've placed the wrap. I've squeezed nice and tight. It's kind of hard to show you with my hand in the way, but I'll see if I can demonstrate. If I squeeze this here, you're going to see some water coming out. A little bit down there on the bottom. So you do want to squeeze it, and you want to keep it moist, but you don't want it soaking wet. So you might squeeze on the top, and you might see some water come out the top. See a little bit of water come out the top, and a little bit of water coming out the bottom. Okay, that's probably just about where you want it. You don't want to squeeze it and have like a gusher of water. Okay, that's probably going to be a little bit too much water. Now the wrap is important because it will help during the hot, dry months, and when sometimes, you know, you have a couple of days no water and this could dry out on you. You do not want this to dry out. Now it does not rot away because of the fact that the sphagnum is very, very acidic. It has a pH somewhere around 4.5 if I'm not mistaken. It might be even a little lower than that, and that condition protects the air layer from rotting away. So now I'm gonna just kind of go around a little bit here, and as you can see, this wrap is good because you really don't have to tie it off. It'll be fine. Now the next step, when I come back, is we'll put the aluminum foil all around it, and the reason for that is to protect it from the sun also, okay, and to keep it kind of dark in there. All right, it's kind of good for it to be dark and to be protected from the sun. That's really it. So there you go. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna wrap it with foil, and then we're gonna tag it so we remember the date that we did the air layer. All right, my foil is wrapped around, no big deal. I'm gonna just take this here so I can use it as my marker so that I know what I did. This will also help to keep the air layer foil from slipping off. Usually it doesn't do that. It's not a big deal, but I'm going to go ahead and attach that there. Better not to use something like this. You probably want to use one of these tags, but I ran out. Normally that's what I'll do. I'll put one of these tags where you actually go ahead and you mark right in there with the pen. You just scratch it in and it's permanent. It stays there for forever. Okay, so my air layer is done, and we'll come back and we'll take a look at this in let's look at it in 30 days, and then after that again. And I think by that time, let's see, it's February, so we have January, February, so we have February done. We have March. We'll look at it at the end of March, and then we'll look at it again at the end of April. By then we should have a nice air layer ready to be potted up.